All right, I'm here with Nathan Krupa, the development strategist with Golden Harvest Food Bank. Welcome to the show, Nathan.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you here. Obviously, Golden Harvest Food Bank is a food bank, but can you tell us a little bit more about your mission there?
Yeah, sure. So Golden Harvest Food Bank is one of 200 Feeding America food banks nationally. And it's our role to support the hunger relief efforts in 25 counties in Georgia and South Carolina. So it's 19 counties in Georgia, 6 in South Carolina. And so we're kind of like the main central depository for food that comes in from lots of different sources. So we get some government commodity food, we get food from retail donations, we get food from farmers, we purchase some food, and we bring it all to our warehouses. And then we have a network of 300 partner agencies. So food pantries, soup kitchens, senior centers, domestic violence and homeless shelters, all who are looking for the food piece of that puzzle. And so we provide it to them at a greatly reduced cost. So for every dollar that we receive in donations, we're able to put 3 meals into the community. And we also run some other programs directly. We run a master's table soup kitchen, which is a 365-day-a-year operation. Every day is a hot lunch for about 200 to 300 people. And we do a program called Senior Food Box, which is a monthly food distribution for senior citizens, and the Backpack Program, which is a monthly or a weekly distribution of food to elementary school students. We had about last year, I think we had about 2,600 students who were enrolled in that program.
Yeah, so you have a lot going on over there.
We have a lot going on. Yeah.
Yeah, well, so I know, Nathan, that you're a very experienced development professional, but today I wanted to have you on the show to talk about a specific thing that you do at Golden Harvest Food Bank. I know that you guys have had this October kind of Halloween themed event for quite a while. Can you tell me about the origins of this event and what it used to look like?
Sure. It's called It's Spooky to Be Hungry. And this is at the 30th year, actually. So we're kind of celebrating a big anniversary. And it started 30 years ago. And it was a private volunteer who was out in at the grocery store with her daughter. And they saw some of our barrels in the grocery store because they were having a food drive. It was Halloween season. And she turned to her mother and said, "Mom, it's spooky to be hungry." And her mom was like one of these super organizer kind of people, like super connector. She's like, "Oh, this is a great idea." And so it started with just her neighborhood. And she started with this neighborhood-wide food collection. Instead of trick-or-treating, they wanted to do a community food drive. So they went around and they canvassed the neighborhood. They knocked on all the doors and said, "Will you please donate food?" They gathered it up and they brought it to their local food pantry. Well, time progresses. Again, I said she was super organized and like one of those type A kind of person. And it expanded to like 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 neighborhoods that were all participating. She organized, she got captains for each of the neighborhoods. The neighborhoods would go out, they would canvass their own thing, their own neighborhood, collect the food. And that's when Golden Harvest got involved at first, because now with the great big amount of food, you need some place to put it. Like you need someone to deal with it. And that one of the secrets about food drives is you have to sort the food, because a lot of people will like clean out their pantries. And sometimes, we've gotten things that are, 15 years old. Obviously you can't distribute that. It doesn't go directly out. You find peanut butter that's been opened and like, finger has been scooped out. So Golden Harvest has the resources and the volunteers to go through and sort and inspect all that food, make sure that it's all fit for human consumption. And we also have the distribution network to get it out back into the community. So this was the model that it kind of led with for about the first 18, 19, 20 years. And actually maybe even 25. And so it was great. And then the woman moved away. Like she was like the driving force behind it. And Golden Harvest was a great big partner for her. We're, at this point, we're using our trucks to go around and pick it up. And so we wanted to keep it going. This is a great food drive for us. This is a great opportunity for us to connect to the community. At this point, schools are involved. Everybody knows the spooky ghost, and that kind of brand is really valuable. It's hard to get that kind of public awareness. And so we took it over and realized kind of within the first couple of years, like what a big job had been done by the person who had founded it. And because neighborhoods started kind of dwindling off, and the number went from 120 to like 110 to not, and we're like, where is this going? We didn't have somebody in there. And there was even talk at some point about shutting it down. But then, our team was kind of sat down and talked about it. It's like, this is a great opportunity for kind of a comprehensive campaign. Excuse me, that you've already got the brand established, you've already got the community involvement, they know when it is. We just don't have all the rest of the pieces here. Like this is, just a food drive. Excuse me. And so let's see what can we do to turn this into a comprehensive campaign. So the idea was, let's do a peer-to-peer platform. So peer-to-peer fundraising is, it's not new, but it was new to us. And the technology behind it, we really didn't have. Our website wasn't capable of doing it. We didn't quite have the right pieces in place in order to do it. And this was a big lift, because this is changing the way we've been doing something for like 25 years. And so we finally got the like, go ahead, let's do this. We figured out our platform, we put it up, and immediately like the questions started coming in, like, well, how do I sign up? How do I get involved? And I went home one night. It was like 3 days after we launched. I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a disaster. Like we can't run with this platform. It's just not like. And so like we had the option available to us through something else to use the platform Classy, which kind of specializes in the peer-to-peer fundraising. That's like that's where their main, one of their main spaces. And so I came in the next morning. I said, I got my team together and I said, like, we have to switch this whole campaign to Classy today. Like we have to like basically relaunch this entire. I'll do all the work, because I'm kind of a techno guy, but we've got to do it. And they all looked at me like, oh no, what? And I was like, it's just simpler. It's an easier platform. We'll have fewer questions. But we have to do it, because if people are confused, if it's difficult for the sign up, this is never going to fly. We have to make it easy. We have to make it simple. We have to make it, Classy even has the advantage. It's lovely. Like it's attractive. Like the layout is good. The way the pages are designed, it looks good on a screen. It looks good on a phone. And they're like, all right, Nathan, we trust you. I've been here at the food bank 11 years now. So I've raised lots of money. I'm not crazy. I'm not, and they're like, okay, let's go for it. And so we put it on. And the first year we did it, we raised like $60,000, which for that, like just new money is not too shabby. I mean, this is something that's all, revitalizing an old campaign, putting some new energy and effort. And I think this was 2019. 2020 came, and of course the pandemic, right? And you can't do a food drive in the pandemic when everything is quarantined, when everything is shut down. You do what the last thing in the world you want is 100,000 cans from 40,000 households coming into a centralized area, right? No volunteer can do that. No, like this, it's just a disaster. So the question was, do we keep doing it? Right? So we decided we would push ahead, totally digital and total, like all peer-to-peer, all, you know, social media, like really pushing it. And the response was incredible. The captains in the neighborhoods were still involved. They were excited to have all the interaction online and the social media. And we broke over $200,000,
That's
which is
incredible.
it's
Incredible.
phenomenal.
So let me kind of pause your story right here. I'm going to back up just a tad to, you said you believe it was 2019, right? When you first added this online fundraising component. And you changed to Classy, you made the peer-to-peer platform super easy to use. How did you introduce this idea of, you know what, this year, in addition to collecting food, we'd also like to add this fundraising component? How did you educate the captains or your donors about that transition?
So one of the nice thing about Spooky is, with the history, we had a lot of personal relationships with the captains already. And so it wasn't like broadcasting it out to the community. It was really focused communications on, we're doing something new to make it easier for you to have a bigger impact. So one of the things with the food bank, we have a great offer in terms of fundraising, in that, every dollar donated distributes 3 meals. And that's something, it's simple, it's powerful. People understand hunger. They understand, like, they can visualize a plate of food. And they also go to McDonald's, where a meal costs now, $8, and so, like, the impact of their donation is huge. And so what we went out to them and said, look, this is a way that you can have a bigger impact, and it's super easy. It's super fun. It's connecting on your social media. We created posts for them to look at, to kind of style their things off of. We created like a little campaign calendar for them, like, here, like, send this out, 2 weeks before the end, 1 week at the end, and then your final week, and so giving them kind of like a campaign in a box, so again, like, one of my favorite fundraising sayings is that confusion is the enemy of action. If your donor doesn't know what they're doing, if your volunteers don't understand what the offer is or how they can get involved, they just won't. Like, their default, if it's not easy for them, their default answer will be, I'm going to go do something that's easy, that, like, fills this desire to do something good. So it's kind of our job is to remove any of that friction and make it as easy as possible for them to be engaged. And so one of the things that we had to do, even though Classy has like a super simple, easy sign up, like create your team kind of function, we didn't want that to be a barrier for people to sign up. And so we decided, we'll just create all the teams for them. Like, if we know that they did it last year, we're going to say, here's your link to your team page. It's already, here's your login credentials, go in, change, update your photo. It's super easy. It's already got some boilerplate in it that tells the story of Spooky. Run with it. And from that, like, the first, you can kind of see the staggered adoption. The first year, some of the captains were really engaged. But then the second year, like, it really took off, because this is the second time they've seen it. They're more familiar with it. They're excited. This is one of the, like, the multiplying of impact due to success. People like to be involved in something that's successful. And if it was successful last year, they want to get on board this year, right? Because it's more exciting to be a part of something that's that's more successful.
Yeah, for sure. So I also know something about the spooky event is you've been able to create sort of a competitive aspect to it. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yes. So what we did when we were creating the peer-to-peer platform is we said it has always been kind of a competition between neighborhoods. And so, but what we were weighing, they were competing in pounds of food. So we would have pickup locations in every neighborhood, and the neighborhood, we would pick them up, we would take them to our warehouse, and we would weigh the food, and then we would have prizes for the neighborhood that raised the most food. It was a fun thing. We took that and then we leveraged the peer-to-peer and said, well, because $1 distributes 3 meals, let's call it points. So 1 pound of food donate is worth 1 point. $1 donated is worth 3 points, because we can do 3 times as much with your dollars. And so the team captains, some of whom are very competitive, and which is great, we love that. They got on board with this because they said, oh, so we can get more points by pushing these donation links through our social media channels or through email than we can through the canned goods. This is very exciting. And so one of the things that we did last year for the first time very successfully was we did a end of campaign celebration in person. Obviously, we couldn't do it the year before. But we invited all the winning teams from the winning neighborhoods to we had it at the Master's Table Soup Kitchen after hours, after the service hours. And so they got to come and get recognized, and they loved it. You know, we had a great turnout. They were excited. They were happy to be recognized by their peers. And the other thing that we were able to do with this transition to the peer-to-peer thing, and I don't know if I mentioned this to you, is to begin to involve a corporate component, which had never been there, and which is corporate sponsorships. So, you know, now the volunteers get their spooky logoed shirt with all the sponsors on the back. You know, it's cheesy, but it totally works. People love their free t-shirt. So we're able to bring in a bunch of corporate sponsors and get corporate teams involved. So like if they wanted, you know, company, you know, we have relationships with a lot of companies around town. We're really blessed. And so this is an engagement opportunity, right? So a lot of companies are looking for ways to engage their employees in civic community type events that make them feel good about themselves and the company, and like, rah, we're doing good for the community. And it blesses everybody, right? It's awesome. And so we do like small, medium, and large business, and they're competing against each other. So that way, you know, like a little 1, 2, 3 person business is not competing against like Textron, you know, or, you know, one of these big companies around here. And it's the same format. So it's the peer-to-peer, you know, they can do a food drive and we'll support it. There's like, this might be pretty obvious, but people don't tend to bring canned goods to their accountant, right? That's not like that's not like an easy, normal thing. But, you know, sending out a link to get their clients involved or get the employees involved, that's actually pretty easy, right? So that has been another component, I think, of getting it up from that 60 up over 200, because you have another entire constituency that you're able to get involved in the program, in the campaign.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. Thank you so much for sharing about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So something else I know you do, Nathan, is you have a blog all about fundraising as well. So tell me about that.
I do. So I'm kind of like yourself. I'm a little bit of a fundraising nerd. I mean, this is my fundraising library. I don't have them on display, which you do. But I love best practices. One of the things, you know, fundraising is a challenging work. One of the reasons that I love it and that I've been doing it for 11 years is that I see it as I'm sending out invitations to people to do something awesome and to get them involved in serving the poor, which, you know, that can get you out of bed. That's, and when the eventual obstacles come up, uh, can keep you motivated. And so the blog is basically my study of fundraising best practices and kind of condensed and trying to just provide good information about what smart people are doing and what's successful in the fundraising world, because there's lots of different ways to fundraise, right? So I spent 10 years as a grant writer. I'm now doing direct mail and online giving and email fundraising. I'm also kind of like moving slowly but surely into frontline fundraising with some of our constituents. And it's all they're very different approaches. And the way you manage your time and the way you manage your calendar and the way you manage, I still don't understand event like gala dinners. Like, there's somebody else here who's great at them, which is awesome, because I park the cars because that's just not my wheelhouse. But it is, there are lots of really great ideas out there. And sometimes when, as a fundraiser, you know, you can run into a brick wall, and that's when you need some new food, some new ideas, some new thoughts. I'm sure that's a lot of what, people who are listening to your podcast are here to get those good ideas.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so I know listeners are going to want to check out your blog. How can they find it?
Yeah, it's thealmoner.com. So almoner is an old word. It's comes from the Catholic Church, that it's the person who used to raise money to feed the poor. And it actually comes from the Greek word for mercy, but alms for the poor. And so it's the almoner, ALMONER.com.
Yeah. And listeners, if you are driving right now or something, you can find that link in the description of this episode, wherever you're watching or listening now. I really appreciate your time today, Nathan. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. This was fun. It's good to talk to you.